Hello everyone, this is Harshika, and before getting into the topic, I have started this channel by giving motivation to some of the people. But from today onwards, I am going to teach some of the important topics that are needed for NEET UG examination. So the people who are not interested in this can unsubscribe the channel, and the people who are interested in preparing for NEET PG examinations can stay with me in this channel by subscribing to the channel dedicates you. So today we are going to start systemic pathology. In this, we are going to discuss a very important topic of cardiovascular system. You are going to know everything that is needed for your NEET PG examination. So I have divided this deoxygenated blood from superior vena cava and inferior vena cava will goes to the right atrium, and from the right atrium it enters to the ventricle, and from there it enters to the lungs, and in the lungs it gets purified and becomes as oxygenated blood, and from there it enters the left atrium, and through ventricle it enters the aorta, and it goes to the different organs like systemic circulation. So this is the normal circulatory system that is going to take place in our body. So now let's learn the layers of the heart. This is a very basic topic that you are going to learn in this class, and I make sure that you are perfect in this. So there are three layers of the heart. We all know it, right? First one is pericardium, second one is myocardium, and the innermost layer which covers the heart is called endocardium. And this pericardium is further divided into two types. One is fibrous and another one is serous layer, and this serous is further divided into two types, which is parietal and visceral is also called as epicardium. So make sure that you are clear with this, because there are many diseases which are only specific for endocardium, and there are rare diseases which affects all the three layers. So make sure that you are particular about all the layers of the heart. And next we are going to the cardiac muscle. We all know there are three types of muscles in our body. Like they are temporary muscles, they are permanent muscles, they are continuously dividing muscles. Okay, so cardiac muscle is a kind of muscle which does not undergo any kind of reproduction. Like cell does not undergo any kind of division. It shows hypertrophy. Hypertrophy means cell is capable of increasing its size, but it can't increase its number. So cardiac muscle is unable to show the hyperplasia. Okay, it can only show hypertrophy. Hypertrophy means increase in the size, and hyperplasia means increasing number of cells. Okay, make sure that you are perfect in this. So now let's learn about heart failure. Heart failure is nothing but, for example, let's take a student has failed the exam. It doesn't mean the student is getting 0 marks. It means the student is not able to get the marks which are needed to pass the exam. For example, if the pass mark is 35 marks, the student may get 34 marks or 33 marks. It means that the heart is not able to pump sufficient blood that is needed for all the organs of our body. It doesn't mean that heart is not working, or it doesn't mean that heart is not pushing any kind of blood. It means that heart is pumping less amount of oxygenated blood to the peripheral tissue. So that's the definition that you should know about the heart failure. And this heart failure is of two types. First one is left heart failure, and second one is right heart failure. There is a mistake here. This is right heart failure. So there are two types of heart failures. First one is left heart failure, and second one is right heart failure. And there are different types of situations which we can see in left heart failures and right heart failures. So first let's deal with the left heart failures. In left heart failure, there is a outflow of blood. The left side of the heart is not functioning well. So the blood will return to the lungs. So in lungs, there will be pulmonary congestion and pulmonary edema. So by this we can say that left heart failure. So we say that left heart failure will leads to pulmonary edema and congestion. So that's the main important point you should know. And here, right heart failure will leads to pulmonary hypertension. right heart failure is of two types. First one is associated with the left heart failure, and second one is associated with the pulmonary hypertension. And if you observe the gross specimens, in left heart failures, the heart is wet, bloggy, and edematous. And if you see in the right heart failures, there are other two organs that are getting affected. They are liver and spleen. So, if a person has come to the hospital with right heart failure, you must check that the person is having hepatomegaly and splenomegaly. Okay, and this in the liver you can find Nutmug's liver. Okay, if a patient come to the hospital with a right heart failure, in that patient you can see hepatomegaly and splenomegaly. In hepatomegaly you can see nutmeg liver, and in splenomegaly you can see gamma antibodies. And make sure that you are clear about these gamma antibodies. Gamma antibodies are made up of calcium, hemosiderin, and fibrosis. They are made up of calcium, hemosiderin, and fibrosis. Okay, and if you observe the left heart failure, there will be presence of heart failure cells, and these heart failure cells are not present in the heart, they are present in the liver. Okay, and let's go with the in the left heart failure we can observe hemosiderin laden macrophages. Okay, and in left heart failure we can see the kidney is affected, and this leads to the tubular necrosis in the kidney. So next go to the Okay, next we shall move to the ischemic heart failures. In ischemic heart failures, there are five symptoms. First one is angina pectoris, second one is myocardial infarction, third one is sudden cardiac death, fourth one is chronic ischemic heart disease. Make sure you know all of this. So now let's move to the myocardial infarction. For example, you are in OP. A person came with the clinical features of nausea, vomiting, diaphoresis, dyspnea, oliguria, low-grade fever, acute pulmonary edema. So these are the normal symptoms that we can get for majority of the diseases. Like there are many diseases, we can get all these symptoms. So you may not make it clear of any particular diseases, but there is a very specific clinical feature that differentiates or that gives an idea that the person is with myocardial infarction, that is chest pain radiating towards left side. So the person who is coming to the OP with the left coming to the OP with chest pain radiating to the left, make sure that you are suspecting it as a myocardial infarction. So you recommend to take an ECG, and these ECG may be of different types. So let's see some of the major types of ECGs we see. So first one is there will be an elevation in the ST segment, okay, which shows that is transmural infraction. Transmural infraction. If the ST segment is normal, but the patient came with the complaint of chest pain radiating to left side, it may be a subendocardial infarct, or there will be an inversion in T waves or any pathological Q waves we can find in the ECG examination. So, one of your junior has asked you that, sir or ma'am, what are the risk factors or which people are mostly affected by this myocardial infarction? So the risk factor for this myocardial infarction is of two types. One is modified, another one is non-modified. We can't change the non-modified risk factors, but we can surely change the modified risk factors. First one is infections. Infection of different microorganisms can lead to the myocardial infarction and inflammation, and the main reason is smoking, diabetes mellitus, obesity, and hyperlipidemia. These are the modified risk factors that a person which leads to the person to get myocardial infarction. Second one is non-modified. So it may be depend on the age, like the person may be elderly aged, or sex, majorly male, or family history. The family members, some of the members may have the heredity of myocardial infarction and type A personality. Type A personality are the people who always aims to achieve something. Yes, it's very good to achieve something, to dream of becoming good, but because of this they may develop some kind of stress, so it leads to the myocardial infarction in most of the cases. So next we go in depth to the myocardial infarction. So what is myocardial infarction? Infarction means area of coagulative necrosis in heart. So there is an tissue death, that is to coagulative tissue death in the heart, which leads to the myocardial infarction. This is of two types. So first one is transmural infarction, second one is subendothelial infarction. So transmural infarction is the infarction in which we see there is elevation of the ST segment, and subendocardial infarction is the one in which we can't see any kind of ST segment elevation. Okay. So transmural infarction means we can observe ST segment elevation, and subendothelial infarction means in which we cannot observe non-ST segment elevation. Okay, and this transmural infarct is seen in all layers. is seen in all layers, but subendothelial infraction is not seen in all the layers. It only seen in endocardial layer because endocardial layer is less perfused layer, so it can easy to infract. So it's lead to subendothelial intract. And now we are going to discuss the most important topic, cardiac enzymes. Cardiac enzymes is one of the most important topics. So in this we are going to study about 5 different types of enzymes. So first one is myoglobin, second one is HAPV, third one is CKMB, fourth one is troponin INT, and fifth one is LDH. So let's start with the myoglobin. So myoglobin is non-specific. Why it is non-specific means it increases because of any other muscle diseases. Okay. Second one is it is the earliest to increase. Even though it is the earliest plasma protein or cardiac enzymes to increase, but it's not so specific that if a person is having myoglobin levels are in high, it doesn't mean that he is suffering from myocardial infarction. It may be due to other muscle diseases, right? So it rises in 1 hour and it falls in 24 hours. Okay, it's not good to monitor the patient based on this myoglobin. Okay, next we are going to deal with the hard fatty acid binding protein. Okay, hard fatty acid binding protein, and this is the one which rises immediately after the myocardial infarction. Okay, next we are dealing with the cytokine MB. There are 3 subunits for this cytokinase. First one is M, second one is MP, and third one is BB. Okay, and this MB rises in the myocardial infarction, which rises in 2 to 4 hours of myocardial infarction and which falls in 2 to 3 days, and this is a good marker for reinfection. So make sure that you remember this. Okay. And next we are going to deal with troponin. Troponin I is the best prognosis. Like depending on this, we can prognosis the patient whether he is curing or not. So it rises in 2 to 4 hours and it falls in 2 to 7 hours. And it is a best marker to reinfection and also for monitoring the patient. Okay. And next one is LDH. LDH is of 5 types, like there are 5 subunits in LDH, and we mostly see only 2, that is LDH2 and LDH1. Make sure that you remember this. LDH2 normally in a normal patient, and with this I conclude the class. I hope you enjoy the class. Make sure that you revise it before going to the next class, and you will get the next class maybe on next Sunday.